$4 billion. $4 billion. Not in a concept car, not in a press release, in a product they swore would define the next decade of the automobile. Engineers on double shifts, designers flown in from 3 continents, a launch that filled arenas. The media called it a revolution. Investors called it inevitable. The public called it the future. And then the sales numbers came in. Quarter after quarter, the gap between what was promised and what was actually delivered tore open a wound that no supply chain excuse or charging infrastructure story could close. The platform was already obsolete the day it left the factory. Front-wheel drive, borrowed from a combustion architecture that had nothing to do with electric physics, robbed the car of the balance it was never engineered to have. The battery chemistry was conservative. The suspension was a cost cut, wrapped in press release language. They built the most expensive version of the wrong answer. And even then, they still failed. While that failure played out across every quarterly earnings call, while that brand doubled down on the same architecture and hoped the market wouldn't notice, MG was building something else entirely. Not a rebadge, not an adaptation, a platform engineered from the ground up for electrons, for the specific, unforgiving physics of an electric drivetrain. While the competition was debating whether to keep their old suspension geometry, MG was already testing a rear multi-link setup on a dedicated electric chassis in European traffic. While others were defending front-wheel drive as good enough, MG was placing its motor on the rear axle and recalculating what a hatchback could actually be. Quietly, methodically, in markets that don't forgive mistakes. And that's exactly where things start to get interesting. The MG4 Urban arrives looking like a familiar category. Compact hatchback, 168 inches long, reasonable proportions, nothing that looks threatening to someone shopping for a practical, affordable EV in the 2026 market. Park it next to a comparably priced BYD Dolphin, and at first glance, it looks like a lateral choice, just another option in an already crowded entry segment. And that's exactly the trap. Start at the front. There's no grille, no fake grille, no decorative grille, none of that theatrical void legacy brands bolt onto their EVs to signal that something changed. The nose is low, pointed towards the pavement and sealed. Behind that closed face is an AGS system, active grille shutters, that open and close autonomously to manage battery temperature and optimize aerodynamic drag. The car is negotiating with physics while you drive. The 17-inch semi-open alloy wheels were designed not for the showroom, but for airflow management. Every surface decision at the front end is a calculation, and that's still just the beginning. The rear is where MG made a statement most manufacturers save for vehicles 2 price tiers higher. The taillights are a continuous full-width LED bar spanning the entire trunk lid, with a 3-dimensional effect built in. Light fractures radiating from the center, forming a reclined Y shape at each corner. It doesn't look like a hatchback trying to look premium. It looks like a deliberate architectural choice from a team that knew exactly what it was designing. Above it, a dual spoiler. Below it, a simulated air extractor in the bumper. The visual language is technical without being aggressive, confident without being loud. But what comes next changes everything. The platform underneath the MG4 Urban is the MSP, MG's dedicated electric architecture, not modified, not adapted, built for this purpose from the first calculation. The motor sits on the rear axle, rear-wheel drive, in a hatchback, in the entry-level segment. This isn't a marketing decision, it's a physics decision. When the motor drives the rear wheels, the front axle is free to steer without competing torque inputs, free to carry less weight, free to respond with precision that front-wheel drive EVs structurally cannot replicate. Weight distribution lands at exactly 50% front, 50% rear. No other car at this price point comes close to that number. Not approximately, not by rounding, exactly 50-50. And this is where the gap becomes uncomfortable. 228 horsepower, 188 pound-feet of torque, delivered instantly, not after a rev and not after a spool, instantaneously, because that's what electric motors do when the engineering doesn't limit them. 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds. The 51 kilowatt-hour LFP battery, lithium iron phosphate, a chemistry chosen for longevity, thermal stability, and the ability to charge to 100% without the degradation anxiety of NMC alternatives, delivers 230 miles of real-world range. And then there's the charging. DC fast charging at a level that sits above the segment average, a number MG hasn't officially published yet, but infrastructure testing has already been observed, and what it shows is a car that doesn't behave like an entry-level product when it's plugged into a fast charger. At this point, it's no longer a competition. The rear suspension is multi-link, 4 words that carry engineering weight far beyond their syllables. A rear multi-link manages each wheel independently, allowing the geometry to adapt through corners, over rough pavement, under hard braking, maintaining contact and composure in conditions that collapse simpler designs. The alternative, used by MG's primary competitor in this segment, is a torsion beam, a rigid axle that ties both rear wheels into a single mechanical response. On smooth roads, it gets the job done. On anything else, it's a compromise with consequences. You feel in your hands, your back, and the confidence you have in the car. The MG4 Urban doesn't ask you to accept that compromise. Now put that in the American context. Interstate highways with expansion joints, potholed urban streets, mountain switchbacks in the Pacific Northwest, road trips across the Great Plains. That's exactly the environment where the difference between a multi-link and a torsion beam stops being theory and becomes driving experience. The car that was engineered for that kind of stress doesn't just survive it, it communicates with the driver in a way the other car never will. And the next level is where it all comes apart for the competition. One car uses a rear torsion beam on a front-wheel drive platform adapted from a combustion architecture. The other uses a rear multi-link on a dedicated electric platform with rear-wheel drive and 50-50 weight distribution. One car offers rounded styling and a familiar emotional register. The other offers a sealed aerodynamic nose, a full-width 3D LED bar, and a spoiler system calibrated for efficiency. One car is the result of adapting what already existed. The other is the result of deciding that adaptation wasn't enough. This isn't a comparison, it's a generational gap. This car doesn't compete, it replaces. 5 stars, Euro NCAP, not a projection, not a goal announced at a press conference. A result achieved in testing under the most rigorous independent safety evaluation protocol in the global auto industry. The MG Pilot comes as standard equipment, not as a paid upgrade, not as a trim incentive, as the baseline. Automatic emergency braking,
lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control, rear cross traffic alert, a complete active safety architecture that 2 generations ago was optional equipment on vehicles that cost twice as much. And that changes the entire game. The interior follows the same logic. 7-inch digital instrument cluster, floating 10.25-inch infotainment screen with an updated 2026 interface. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, both wireless. Wireless charging pad in the center console. Flat-bottom 2-spoke steering wheel. 12.8 cubic feet of trunk space with the seats up, 41.6 cubic feet with them folded flat. Soft materials where your hands actually land. Nothing is extravagant, everything is right. The MG4 Urban doesn't waste budget on surfaces nobody touches. It invests where every mile validates the decision. Which brings us back to where we started, $4 billion. The most expensive version of the wrong answer. A platform inherited from combustion that never had the balance, the geometry, or the architecture to deliver what electric driving actually demands. That company is still building variants of the same mistake, still defending front-wheel drive in a segment where the MG4 Urban now exists, still asking consumers to accept a rear torsion beam because the margins their cost structure requires don't leave room for a multi-link. The narrative they controlled for 5 years, the one that said entry-level electric meant accepting trade-offs, just ran out of road.
The MG4 Urban arrives in the US market in 2026, priced to go head-to-head with the volume leader in the segment. And it brings rear-wheel drive, a dedicated electric platform, multi-link, 50-50 weight distribution, 228 horsepower, a 51 kilowatt-hour LFP battery, 5-star Euro NCAP safety, and a full ADAS suite, all at a price point where none of those things should exist at the same time. The people who built the wrong answer spent $4 billion proving it was wrong. MG spent that time building the right one. And now, you're standing in front of a decision that isn't really about a car. You're not choosing a car, you're choosing which era you belong to. The problem isn't that this is here, it's that you're still looking at the past.